On our canoe trip down the Colorado River, one of the spots we really wanted to check out was Boy Scout Canyon. This canyon is located about 2 miles downriver on the right side, and here you will find beautiful passageways, hot springs, and plenty of adventures if you're running with a badass crew. Please be sure to bring your canoe a fair ways up onto the beach just in case there are any fluctuations in the water level. And you will also need harnesses, grippy shoes, rope, rappelling devices, and if you want bonus style points, bring your adventure pup too. There are a couple of different ways to experience Boy Scout Canyon. One of the really popular ones is they do it as a canyonnering route. This is a pretty wild canyon because it has a 330-foot rappel in it, and we are actually going to get to see it on our hike. Another way is to just head up to the hot springs and back. This is mildly technical and it's really fun. And the third option is to do the full-on adventure hike like we're doing in this video. This is very technical, and you need to know how to climb and rappel, or at least go with experienced friends who can help you out. We are now arriving at the hot springs, and while it may not be as picturesque and popular as Arizona hot springs, it is still a neat little spot. And also, if you are in the area and you're looking for a slightly tamed down version of this experience, we recommend checking out Gold Strike Hot Springs. This is where the difficulty really starts to kick in. While this waterfall is not high, it is very slippery. This is where those grippy shoes come into play. Shortly after the first waterfall, we came to a second one, and this one actually had a rope. Typically, we try to avoid putting our full body weight on ropes that we find out in the wild. All of the ropes that we found in this canyon were in really good shape, and they look like they may have been replaced recently. But you still want to be careful. After the 2 waterfalls, you're going to get a small break as you come to this scramble section through the canyon. Enjoy this break because for the most part, this canyon will continue to get incrementally harder as you go along. As we mentioned in all of our slot canyon videos, one thing that is very important if you're coming here is to check the weather. Most slot canyons are prone to flash floods, and even though there are a couple of hills that you can run up, you don't want to experience that in here. If you are planning on doing the hike all the way up to the amphitheater like we are, expect to spend some time in here. Even though it is only 1.4 miles round trip, we ended up being in here for 5 hours. We did take one break, but other than that, we were moving the entire time. It just takes a while to get through some of these technical sections. It's kind of funny because when V and I were in our 20s, we both thought that Nevada was pretty much just Las Vegas. We had no idea that there were so many incredible adventures out here, and if you'd like to see them, you should check out our Nevada playlist. We are now arriving at one of our favorite parts of the canyon, and it is this emerald green section right here. It's pretty wild how some of these plants have learned to thrive in the hot water, and as today's fun fact, these plants are known as thermophiles. At the end of the Green Canyon, things are about to get real as we come to the first big climb of the day. If I had to estimate, this one's probably about 15 feet tall, and this is why it's awesome to bring rock climbing friends. Our buddy Phil climbed up to the top and ran a second rope down so he can belay us. He ended up doing that on all of the big climbs, so big shout out to Phil. In fact, everybody was really supportive in the canyon, whether it was words of encouragement or a helpful booty grab. Don't worry, they're married. After making our way up the canyon for a while, we came to an alcove, and this is where you'll find one of the hardest climbs of the canyon. It's probably about 20 to 25 feet tall, and it is very slippery. We were incredibly grateful that the man, the myth, the legend Phil went up there and ran a rope for this one because I did slip near the top. It was really cool watching our group attempt this climb. We had a couple of members that were not climbers, like Noemi here, and she attacked that wall. It's really important to know your limits in here. In fact, a group came up behind us while we were climbing this wall, and they took one look at it and said, "Nope," and went right back. It was probably a smart choice on their part because they didn't have harnesses, so we couldn't have belayed them even if we wanted to. After that monster of a climb, there are a couple of smaller waterfalls. They aren't anything too difficult, but you don't want to let your guard down. One of our other non-climbers that did incredibly well in this canyon was Aurelie. You may remember her from when she suffered through Rattlesnake Canyon with us, and I'm kind of surprised she'd ever want to hang out with us again after that. As in most climbing situations, being tall like Aaron and John definitely has its advantages, but V definitely has no problem coming in with that micro beta. If you enjoy climbing or you are just Asher the Adventure Pup, you are really going to enjoy this section. It has some stemming, some slab climbing, and other rock climbing elements, and if you've made it this far, you probably know how to do all of that. After we made our way through the brush, we came to the last big rope climb of the canyon. You will need to go right and squeeze under this large boulder in an obstacle that we affectionately nicknamed the birth canal. If you go left, you will see this cave with a waterfall in it, and that is going to be very relevant on the way back. This little squeeze can be very tricky. There isn't really anything to grab onto with your hands, and the face of the rock is slippery, so you don't have traction for your feet either. This is another 20 to 25 foot climb, so Phil went up first to belay for us. There are two main ways that you can do this climb. You can use the hand line on the far right side. This will take you up an arête, but it doesn't seem like anyone in our group struggled with it at all. Even our boy Danny made it up pretty easily, and he's still recovering from leg surgery. So, way to go, bud. The other option that you have is a little bit more off to the left. There is a more standard climbing route. There are some pretty large Waco holds here, and it is just really fun. This is the way that both V and I ended up going up, and I recommend it because not only are the holds great, but it's fun. You may be happy to know that this is the last tricky climb of the canyon. There is still one more small climb to get up to the amphitheater, but it's nothing hard at all. After a short walk through another slot canyon, we came to that final climb. And once again, there are two options here. For this one, I think the easier route is up the right side, but the more fun route is on the left. Here is an example of the right side. It's a bit more of a scramble than a climb. But the left side is a little bit more smooth, and you need to get your feet up pretty high. Once again, this is a bit more tall people friendly. As you see, Aaron has no problem at all. And here we are at the amphitheater, home of that 330-foot rappel, which you can see right here. This is pretty massive considering that the biggest rappel that V and I have ever done is 250 feet, and that felt huge. But who knows, we may just have to come back and run that canyon at some point. After a quick snack and a breather, we were back on our way. This is an out and back trail, so you'll be heading back the same way that you came in. The only difference is this time, we get to rappel. If you are an extremely skilled rock climber or canyoneer, I'm assuming that you could probably down climb most of these. But once again, these rocks are extremely slippery, so you will really need to be careful. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the canyon is all of the options. It's kind of a choose your own adventure type of situation. And as we make our way back to that first rappel, there are once again two different options. The first one, which is the most fun, is dropping down into that cave. This one is a bit more technical, so if your skills aren't quite up to par, you can do the other option. This one is really fun because there is a little bit of a free hang at the bottom, and after watching Phil do it, Asher wanted to do it too. One thing to know about the cave route is that there is a little slope at the back of the cave with water running down it. It is extremely slippery, so if you have someone at the bottom that can pull you over to flat and dry ground, it will make things way easier. The other option is rappelling down the arete that we climbed up. There was a little bit of a line to rappel down into the cave, so several members of our group decided on this option. As we made our way through the overgrown area, we knew that we had that stretch of small waterfalls in front of us. In the interest of safety, Phil set up rappels for most of these. This is one of those sections where you may be able to down climb, but why risk it? The nice part about rappelling through this section of the canyon is that at least when we were visiting, there were dry areas. This gave us a lot more grip, and since it didn't feel so sketchy, we were able to just enjoy ourselves. Even Asher was starting to get into it, and just in case you're wondering, yes, he took a very long nap after this canyon. After taking a nice little breather, it was time to get back to business because we still had that big slippery rappel to do. This section of the canyon must get a pretty decent amount of water flowing through it because even though we were rappelling down the dry part of the rock, it was polished smooth. Regardless of how experienced you are, I would highly recommend having someone belay from the bottom on this one just in case you slip. It is a long way down. Phil and Nancy didn't even want Asher to attempt this one on the way down, so they hooked him to his harness. With the big sketchy rappel in the rearview mirror, we continued on. We only have one more big rappel to do. This one is quite easy when you compare it to the last one. Even though it does get a little bit slick at the bottom, if you control your speed, you should be just fine. If this looks like a wild adventure that you would like to take part in yourself, stay tuned for next week's video, where we will show you part 1 of our canoe trip with Venture Out Vegas. I would say that that is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity, but we're hoping to do it a couple more times than that. We are now through the beautiful Emerald Canyon and on our way back to the small waterfalls. I wouldn't relax just yet because those little waterfalls seemed a little bit trickier on the way down than they were on the way up. I kind of had a feeling that I was going to do the full splits right here. Once you get past these 2 waterfalls, you are almost in the clear. There are still going to be a couple of down climbs, but nothing too major. The last waterfall is this one right here, and I don't know why I didn't think to stem it like our buddy Aaron, but what can I say? He's just a beast. If you would like more information about Boy Scout Canyon or other awesome adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com. It's much easier to pack in all the information on the website rather than fit it into a short video. After one more down climb, you are officially out of the technical section of the canyon. We would like to send a huge thank you out to Phil, Nancy, Aaron, Areli, Danny, Javu, Noemi, Raymond, John, and Maggie for making this such a fun experience. And thank you once again to Venture Out Vegas for getting us the boats to get out there. Be sure to stay tuned till next week when we dive into the rest of the adventure. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe because that really helps out the channel. If you have ideas for future episodes, let us know. And for all the information about Boy Scout Canyon and other Nevada adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com.